Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
Welcome back to another Shit Talk Fridays. I'm Gina.
And I'm Evo.
And ladies and gentlemen, Evo's back.
I'm back.
I feel like you haven't been here for 2 weeks, but in actuality it was only 1 week, but then there was another week where you weren't present. So like even though there was that 1 week in between where you were here, I felt like you've been gone for so long.
Had to handle some business. But
you out there making that shmoney.
Yeah, executive decisions that got to be made. Now I'm back. Glad to be back. I want to thank all of you guys for joining us, and I'm looking forward to having some scandalous conversations.
Scandalosa.
Scandaliancians.
And tonight we are drinking a recommendation from my aunt when I went to go visit her in Florida. It is a white wine from a company called Whitehaven, and it is a Sauvignon Blanc.
Very nice. I've actually never really was a fan of white wine.
Same.
Yeah, until I had this.
I would say that the only white wine that I've ever really liked previous to this one was a Riesling that I had from one particular company that I had at a restaurant. And for whatever the reason, I could never fucking find it again. It was in a blue bottle with like white and red writing. So if anybody knows what that is and would love to
Not a clue.
Yeah, and would like to hit me up and let me know what it is, I would greatly appreciate it because I definitely did enjoy that. But other than that, like I was not like a Chardonnay chick. That was just me. So I like this one and the one that I brought home the other day that we had from Trader Joe's. Remember? And I was like, yo, this is a rose? It was like a white rose or some shit.
I don't remember having that one. I remember the rosé that I brought home. That was good. And we enjoyed that.
See, I don't remember that one.
That's because we went somewhere special and we had
yes. Yeah. So maybe that's why I remember that day. I don't remember what we drank though. But let's cheers to Friday and cheers to everybody out in the audience.
Cheers to you guys and gals.
And of course, Evo drips on his shirt.
I did. Oh my god, damn it!
Evo is literally relentless when it comes to that. That is like Evo's signature. If food or drink does not get on Evo's shirt, the night is not complete.
It's not.
I don't know why, but the minute that I took a sip of that wine, I immediately was like, ramen.
Really?
Yo, immediately made me want to eat ramen.
I can kind of see that.
Also, I think it is that I have like somewhat of a ramen addiction.
No, but I can understand why that. I feel like that this would go good with a bowl of ramen.
I don't know what, like.
It almost got like a sake kind of feel to it.
Yo, maybe that's what it is.
I think that's what it is.
Even though ramen is from.
It's sushi.
What?
You usually have sake with sushi.
Yeah, which is like two different cuisines.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but still,
like you don't have sake.
It's Asian.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
so maybe it's because like the base of like Asian food, no matter the cuisine, is kind of similar per se. I don't know.
I get it. Listen,
I'm not trying to sound fucking ignorant. Right? People be like, what the fuck is this idiot talking about? It's fucking the same. We don't use that shit.
I said, I'm the one spilling shit on my shirt on the live.
You be all right.
The fuck?
But anyway, tonight we will be talking about opposite sex friendships. Is it possible? And then later on in the hour, we'll be talking about friends with benefits, or shortened as FWB. And then we'll move on to our top 5 for the night, which Evo, I don't even know what that is, because I told Evo, I was like, you know what? Just come 100% completely
surprise me.
And
pull a ratatouille on you.
Even though like I did suggest something that Evo and I were like, ooh, that was a good one. So we're definitely going to put that one in. We're going to put a pin in that one and come back to it. I think everybody would enjoy that one. Okay, so not friends with benefits. Opposite sex friends.
Right.
As a woman, from my experience, I believe that it's possible. And I'm solely saying this because I, once upon a time, not so much now, had quite a few male friends, and that is because I worked in a very male-dominated industry. Mm-hmm. I worked in the car industry, primarily in the service department, where I was one of like 3 girls in the department, and the other girls weren't in the same like section as me. They were like, they worked in like the reception and
Right.
cashiering, and I was actually like a service writer. So
Right.
like I worked amongst the men all day every day. So I felt like I made friends with these guys. It wasn't until there was one situation in particular that made me realize that no matter how much I want to be a guy's friend, that the bro code is always going to supersede that. And it was when we went to a wedding for one of those guys that I worked with, that I was like, yo, this is my boy. We've been friends for like 6 years. And at his wedding, he came to the table and was like, yo, let's take shots. And instead of asking me, he asked you.
Yep.
And I remember being like, yo, what am I, chopped liver? And I was talking to somebody about this recently, and they were like, you know, Gina, it's probably because they didn't want to offend your husband. They wanted your husband to know that, like, you and him are friends, and then, like, y'all are still boys. And I was like, yo, I get that, but at the same time, they were dismissing our friendship somewhat. Because they were, like, putting my husband before me. Actually, we weren't even married
No,
then.
we weren't married then.
And I was just like, they're putting I don't even know if we were engaged. They're putting my boyfriend before me. And, like, whatever. I kind of just, I let it go. But was I a little butthurt? Yes. Because I thought we were, like, good friends. Like, we had shared some, like.
Yeah, but, like, but you're leaving out the part that along the process, I became cool with all of them.
You did.
So, like, you know, we all, like, kind of became, like, you know, like boys, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, not even like boys, because, like, we never hung out outside of your job. But every time I went there, you know, I kicked it with all of them.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, we became really cool. So, the one time that we were hanging out outside of the work environment, it was the one opportunity that we all had to, like, chill, like, you know, like friends.
You know what? I actually never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Like, I've actually gone to strip clubs with these guys.
Yeah.
And, like, we've tipped chicks and, like, taken shots and, you know, laughed it up. And I just really felt like those they were my boys.
No, I mean, they definitely accepted me as, you know, like, as a friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, because in a situation like that one where you work with a girl, many guys, they work with a girl, and then the boyfriend comes. It's going to go one or two ways. Either the boyfriend's just, none of them are going to like the boyfriend, or they're really going to like the guy.
Yeah. I honestly don't think that you've ever met any of my coworkers and they haven't immediately fallen in love with you.
Well, I mean, I try to make a good impression. You know,
yeah, but I don't even think that you need to make a good impression, Evo. You just, like, if anybody doesn't know, Evo is literally like the mayor of our town. Everybody knows Evo. Everybody loves Evo and Gina's chopped liver. But guess what? I enjoy being chopped liver. Don't talk to me. So the reason why I bring that up is because, you know, I really had this, like, idea that I was friends with these guys. But, you know, like, looking into it a little bit, I think my perception was not reality. And the reason why I say that is because I looked into some studies on a social aspect, right? That research went into the possibilities of opposite sex being friends. And from that research, it basically says that a lot of women have the perception that they are friends with the opposite sex, but the men don't necessarily feel that way. There is somewhat almost kind of like a hidden agenda where women can actually feel like they're in a platonic friendship, where men will say that the friendship is platonic, but there's like something underneath that.
Right. So, I think that when it comes to being friends of the opposite sex, that girls would say yes, like you said in your case, but most guys would say no. And I say most guys because there are guys out there that can genuinely be friends with girls.
Yeah, and like, I don't want to say that it's never possible, but
I've had girlfriends that are just friends.
Yes.
Know? But the reason I say most guys won't, and they'll say no, that guys, speaking from a guy standpoint, most guys will say no, that they cannot just be friends with a girl, right? Or someone from the opposite sex. And the reason is, this is just my opinion, I believe, is that guys have this unsatiable desire to want to have sex. And they're always seeking opportunities to have sex. And most of the time, not all the time, it's from a girl. You know, you need a girl to initiate sex with. So because of the standard that exists where sex only happens when a girl allows it.
Okay.
A guy is always seeking for the opportunity for when he's going to be allowed to. Right? So when that opportunity comes, not only does a man have an insatiable desire to have sex, but now he's been presented with the opportunity to do so. So two things have happened that they have to align in order for them to happen. And so when that happens, you best believe the man is going to take advantage of that situation. So whether she's a friend or not, or she's been a long-time friend, if for whatever reason, she's looking at him kind of differently that day, and she decides, hey, let's do something, even though they've been friends for a long time, he's going to hit it. Because it's not something a man can wake up and decide that he's going to do one day, which is have sex. A man just doesn't wake up and say, I'm going to have sex today. You know, if he's single. If he's single, doesn't have doesn't have someone where he can just call up and say, you know, or go to his girlfriend or whatever. If he's single and he has a girlfriend or friends, you know, whatever, and they're hanging out, and all of a sudden that girl one day decides that, let's take this to the next level, whatever. Even if they've been friends for a long time, he's going to take that opportunity because it's not something that comes by every day. And so that's why I say most men will say no, because if a man is presented with that opportunity, they're going to take it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it makes me sad somewhat because I think that there are great benefits from being friends with the opposite sex. I feel like from experience, since I have had friends that are the opposite sex, I learned things about men that I would have not known because I worked with men, because I was friends with men. So I felt like I really learned how to maneuver around men. I would say better maybe than the average woman because of my exposure to working primarily with men and then having men that were friends. So I feel like there's great benefit in that. I guess why I say it's sad is because in actuality, we're not really friends per se in the way that I'm thinking about it. Like, I'm thinking that it's strictly platonic. But a man, what you're saying to me is that even though he is functioning like my friend, it's not as platonic as I'm seeing it. Like, he's seeing it like, bet, she's my friend, but the minute she tells me the light is green, this girl's gonna I will have sex with this girl.
More than likely, yes. I mean, there is those cases where, you know, a man has become friends with a girl and it almost seems like that's his sister. You know, they've reached the point where, you know, they see each other as brother and sister, and having sex may be weird, but even in those cases, it could still happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like the man will go there just to have sex.
So from the reading that I had done, that kind of made me like, wow, about like friends of the opposite sex. It has a lot to do with the physical appearance, especially for women. Okay, so let me explain further. Women, a lot of the times, it's easy for them, or easier, to be friends with a man because they don't find the man attractive. Whereas a man, even if the woman is not as attractive as he would potentially want, he would still be willing to have sex with her. Whereas a woman, if she doesn't find him the least bit attractive, or doesn't find him as attractive as she would normally want a man to be if she was considering having sex, that's not even on the table for a girl.
Yeah, you have to understand that a man, is constantly producing sperm.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly has the need to ejaculate. So and I don't want to say like you wake up one day and like, I need to ejaculate, but there's that cycle, has to keep going in process where, ejaculation happens, sperm reproduces, and so on and so forth. So that I believe that the internal desire to want to have sex also comes with the internal desire to want to ejaculate. So if a lot of times it doesn't matter for a guy what the girl looks like, as long as he can accomplish ejaculating, and experiencing having a sexual experience, more than likely he's gonna take that opportunity.
So that's why a lot of women could be in a friendship with a man and not even remotely think about interacting with them outside of the friendship, because she does not find him the least bit attractive. She does not find him the least bit attractive. I think that's why a lot of men get friend zoned.
Right.
Because a man will approach a woman and he'll maybe proposition her with dating or going out on a date. She does not find him attractive, but finds him nice and will say, I like you, but we could be friends.
Right.
But now I understand that a man will accept those terms in hopes that one day that girl will fall into a situation where her perspective on what their relationship is slightly changes. Like maybe she has a breakup with a boyfriend. Maybe she needs some sort of advice as far as something sexually, and like something comes about. It just seems like a man will only engage in that interaction with the hopes of it turning into sex.
Funny thing that we're talking about this. I saw a video one time on YouTube, and it was about a couple, and they were about to put their best friends to the test. The man felt that given the chance, his girlfriend's best friend, which was a man, given the opportunity, he'd come over and sleep with her.
Okay.
Right? And she was like, no way, that's my guy. It's not gonna happen. Never in a million years. That's the homie, this, that, and the third. So they recorded it. She makes the phone call. She pretends that she just got into an argument with her boyfriend and tells the guy that she's kind of feeling kind of vulnerable, would really like some company, and, would like for him to come over. And immediately, like, the phone call started when she was like, yo, I just got into a fight with such and such, blah, 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 F him, this, that, and the third. And all of a sudden the guy starts bashing the dude, right? Fine. That's what a best friend would do, right?
I was about to say, like, that is your job as a best friend.
Right. But listen, it gets good. The guy starts bashing the dude. Then she starts going into like, well, I'm kind of lonely right now. I'm feeling really vulnerable. I could use some company, like, and she even went as far as saying like something along the lines of like, I could use a warm body or something like that. Really like alluding to the fact that she wanted to be physical. And he was like, I bet I'm coming. And and her boyfriend just reached over and hung up the phone. And then she texted him like, don't come. And she was like, she couldn't believe it. Her jaw was on the floor. She was in shock. Her eyes were kind of watering up. Total disbelief. And she was like, yo, but I feel like that your best friend would do the same thing. The guy was like, nah, man, my homegirl's solid. All right, fine. So he makes the phone call. She picks up. He basically says the same thing that the girl said. And immediately he was like, yo, man, this girl's wildin', man. I'm stressed out right now. And she was like, yo, but she was like, just calm down though. Like, what happened? And he like told her some story about like how she did him wrong. And
I actually think I remember you showing me this.
Yes. And the girl was like, yo, but like, don't think like that. And really kind of just try to like backpedal the whole thing just to like, calm him down. Yeah. Didn't trash talk her at all. And then when he was like, suggested that she come over, the girl was like, nah, man, nah, that's not right. Like, y'all gonna work this out. Like, and he was like telling her, she was telling him you need to work this out with your girl. Like, you vulnerable right now. You're not thinking right. That's not the right thing to do. You know, we don't get down like that. Like, and that right there is the stark difference of what happens when a man is given the opportunity in a relationship and a woman is given the opportunity in a relationship. The woman always holds the control.
So let me ask you this. This is a conversation that I was actually having with someone the other day about the opposite sex having friends. Because I've had male friends in the past, and like I said, I don't really have any now. That's just, I do, but they're actually not heterosexual. And it's just because of like the world that I'm in now.
Right.
How do you think, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. How do you think a man should approach a woman that has male friends? Like, say, for example, he's starting to date a girl and she says, I'm going out with my boys tonight, or I'm going out with my friends tonight. And, you know, you just in conversation are like, oh, you know, who are your friends? And, you know, the girl's like, you know, Jess and Sam and Michael. And this is the first time you're hearing about Michael, you know, maybe. Or not the first time, but maybe you heard about Michael before, as far as like maybe he's a coworker, whatever. How do you approach this situation? Because I feel like you always were so fucking... You were always so just like nonchalant about it, but at the same time, you never made me feel like I couldn't do what I wanted, but you were always just like, just know that I'm your man. Like you, I can't even explain how you made me feel like that, but you always were just like, go out, have a good time, whoever you're around, but like you come home to me type shit. Like you always made me feel like that. So like I'm wondering, like, how would you suggest a person approaches that? Because if a girl, like I said before, if a girl really feels like she's in a platonic friendship with a man and you are now the new boyfriend, how do you go about like handling that?
I have to meet the guy. I have to. I mean, so like.
Actually, fuck. I think you've said this before.
Yes, this is. So this
Can
is.
you do me one favor? Can you just check out video? Go ahead.
This is this is what I suggest in a situation like this, and this is how I would handle the situation. If a girl that I'm dating has male friends, and you know we're at that point in a relationship where she's saying she's, you know, starting to go out with her friends and meet up with her male friends, I'm gonna suggest that I want to meet these guys.
Okay.
And when I meet these guys, I'm going to make them feel the least amount of threatened by my presence.
Okay.
I'm going to make them feel like their friendship with my girlfriend at the time is very much okay, that I'm very much aware of them, and I'm cool, and I would like to get to know them. And I'm gonna be genuine about it. Like nothing about this is like, you know, I'm misrepresenting myself or anything like that. Like I generally want to get to know these dudes.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like this, let's make this like a group friendship. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You know, it's almost like being blended with a family, you know, where you have a woman that is, you know, has a baby with someone else, and she has a new boyfriend. The new boyfriend or the new husband, the best thing to do, or the ideal thing would be to become blended, right? So that's my approach. Like if she has male friends, then I'm going to try to become blended. I'm going to try to make this thing work. I'm going to try to allow her to have her male friend, and I'm going to try to be that guy that is not jealous and is confident in himself to know that I'm going to do the best that I can and offer the best that I can, and not to be disruptive, because that's the last thing you want to do. That's the last thing I want to do is come in and be disruptive. Like, nah, you can't hang out with this dude. Nah, he's nah. And like just be jealous without giving it a chance.
So, but why wouldn't you do that? Like, okay, so why wouldn't you be disruptive? Like, why wouldn't you be like, because nah, I'm not, that's not, I don't want that.
I like to be the exception to the rule.
Yes. But tell me, I agree with you. You are the exception to the rule in many cases.
I try to. That's how I try to live my life.
But why don't you think that is the right approach?
I'm not saying that it is the right approach. It's what works for me. I suggest that because I feel like that works best for me in my life, and it works best for me in the relationships that I'm in. I feel like that's the ideal situation for me to be in.
Okay, but if you were giving advice to another man that is maybe in that situation where why would you not suggest him to go in it like? Why would you suggest for the man to not be objective towards a woman having a male friend and doing this thing of being blended as far as you all being friends? Why would you give him that advice? Like, I know it works for you,
Mm-hmm.
but like, why do you think the opposite way doesn't work?
Okay, so I
guess what I can say is like remove yourself from it.
I
Like,
hear what
why
you're
do
saying.
you think it works?
I hear what you're saying. It so for me, it starts with the man in the mirror.
Okay.
For me, it starts with me looking at myself and being confident enough with myself to know that regardless of any situation, no matter what I do, if the girl that I'm with wants to be with another man, she's going to be with another man.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that I can do is be the best that I can be and offer the best of myself that I can offer in hopes that that's enough for her.
Okay.
Right? So that starts with confidence. I have to be confident within myself to bring everything that I bring without no jealousy, without no insecurity, coming in strong.
Mm-hmm.
So that all of a sudden I'm a presence. I'm a force.
I feel like that's why. Remember earlier I said, I don't know how it is that you always made me feel like, yeah, go out with your friends.
Yeah.
But you come home to me.
Right.
But like you never technically, you like.
Yeah, I'm not going to verbalize that.
Yeah, like
there was no need to that.
Yeah, like I never felt like you actually were like, you never really said that. But you always made me feel like, honestly, Evo, there are so many times that I would go out and like, I would want to leave where I was to come home to you because of like the sense of freedom that I had. I mean, and you know this.
Well, listen, it comes down to the cliche.
So like I'm wondering why this system you've implemented it and now I understand.
Right. So here's an interesting analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you imagine you have like a hawk, right?
Okay.
Now a hawk is just badass. I mean, it's a freaking stealth killer, amazing flyer, acrobatic. I mean, just like one of the most fine-tuned elite birds that there is, right?
Okay.
It's just a prize in itself to have and to be a hawk. Now imagine you have this hawk. Now hawks, they need to be free. They need to roam. They need to have their space. They need to do what they do. Now imagine you have a hawk, and these are wild animals. But you have a hawk, you let it go, and it always comes back to you because it knows where it sits that is beneficial for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to try to have that with a woman, where she can go, she can be free, she can do what she wants, and know that when she comes back, she's coming back to something she wants to come back to.
Mm-hmm.
She knows she's coming back to something of value, and that if she messes up, she's losing something valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But again, that to me, that starts with the man in the mirror. I got to look at that man in the mirror, and I have to value that man. I have to give that man value. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I honestly think that a lot of men maybe don't do that. They're not confident with themselves enough, so they have to control the things around them, so that.
Yeah, it's a projection of their own insecurities onto the woman.
Right. So that they feel that they've got control of something.
Correct.
Right.
Because in essence, when a woman goes out separate from you, that's the uncontrollable. Like you cannot control what she is doing not in your presence.
Right.
I mean, even if she is in your presence, she's an individual, she's her own person. So you can't actually control her. She's not your puppet.
Right.
I will say, though, I was a little struck earlier when you said, I allow her to go out with her friends or like her guy friends. I know that was just a word that you chose.
Right.
And I guess why that kind of like made me feel a little uncomfortable is because I remember in the beginning of our relationship, I was very adamant about doing what I wanted to do. And there were times where I personally felt like no man was ever going to tell me what I could or could not do. And the reason why I felt like that was because it was my own ego telling me I'm not going to let a man control me.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've been in this relationship as long as I've learned that when a man in a relationship does have the right to say, I object to this or I agree to this, because you're in a relationship, so you're trying to relate to one another. So a man is entitled to his opinion on the things that you may or may not do. But what I think a man can't do is literally restrict you from something that brings you joy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little confused of that whole dynamic.
Well, can I explain?
Wait, so when you say allow, that type of word would have in the past triggered me.
Mm-hmm.
It would have made me feel like, what the fuck do you mean allow?
Let me tell you why I say allow.
I will do what I want, when I want, where I want.
Right.
But now I understood that the dynamic is very different, because we ain't new to this shit.
No, we're not. But let me elaborate, right? So when I say I allow, right? Let's take it back when I stated that I like to go about my life when it comes to relationships and women, and being the exception to the rule.
Okay.
And so the rule in that particular situation is a man not allowing a woman to do this, not allowing a woman to wear that, not allowing a woman to say this, not allowing a woman to go there, because that's what that man needs to do to feel secure in his life, right? That's the base. Those are the actions that follow an insecure man in a relationship with a woman, right? It's controlling, not allowing.
I need you to say that again. I was reading something. I need you to say that again for me. Because I heard it, but I didn't. I heard you, but I wasn't listening.
All right. So when it comes to being the exception to the rule,
mm-hmm.
in a situation where you have a man that's very controlling, a lot of the actions that man does in the relationship is not allowing his partner
mm-hmm.
to do X, Y, Z, the things that make him feel insecure. Right?
Okay.
So I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that guy. So it starts with me identifying something about a guy and the way that he acts that I don't want to be, and saying, okay, well, that's typically the rule. I see that happening in a lot of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to be the exception, I have to do the opposite. So I have to allow.
Okay.
So it's a language thing for you, but for me, it's more of an action thing. It's me doing the opposite so that I can be the exception, and carrying myself in a way where it's like, all right, you want to go out with your friends? Go ahead. I'm going to allow it. Because from what I visually see that I don't want is guys that don't allow it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that comes into play for me. But I see how verbally,
yeah, when you
it's
said that
it's something that, it'll make the hair stand up on the back of any girl, that doesn't like to be controlled.
And Brick Astley, I don't know who this person is that you're referring to. Can you please elaborate a little bit? And welcome to the stream. Thank you. Yeah, that word is very triggering for me, but that stems from my own insecurities. And again, that's why I said that my ego presents itself. My ego will be like, what do you mean not allow?
Right.
That comes from some deep-rooted shit that I have in my life that is outside of what we're talking about right now. But it's interesting that is why you see things that way. Do you think that if you were to give that advice to a guy who is maybe dealing with a girl who has male friends, do you think if he is that type of guy, the type of guy that has those embedded insecurities, that he is maybe jealous or he is controlling because he's not confident in himself in particular areas, do you think if you gave him that advice, he would actually take it or really understand what you're saying?
I wouldn't give him that advice.
Well, okay, so then how?
Because it's like, all right, I'm telling him to do something that I know he can't do, and I know he can't do it, right? Because before I could do it, I had to do me first.
You had to be self-aware, is what
right.
you're saying.
I had to be self-aware of my own insecurities. I had to recognize them, and I had to fix them. Right. I had to become secure with myself. That's why I go back to saying that it all started with the man in the mirror. I had to look at myself and be confident in myself and say to myself that at the end of the day, I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to do something that's outside of the norm with this girl, right? In hopes that she recognizes that I'm different. If she doesn't, that's her loss, my time wasted, my L. I'm gonna hurt for that, right? Because in essence, I'm exposing myself to pain, right? But I like to think that the risk is always worth the reward.
And you say that a lot, but I would say in conjunction with that is what my tattoo says. Where there is no struggle, there is no strength.
Right.
And even moreover, with success comes failure.
Right. But trust is earned. It's not given, right? So you have to give somebody the opportunity to earn that trust.
Okay.
Right? So you have to expose yourself to vulnerability and pain in order to give the opportunity for someone to say, I recognize you, and I'm going to show you that you can trust me. I see the opportunity you're presenting, and I'm going to show you that you can trust me, right? It takes that little bit of leap of faith to do so. So not many people are willing to take those risks.
I 1000% agree with you.
I will take it time and time again, right? Because I was fortunate enough to experience something to know that I would much rather gamble and one day win and hit it out the park than save myself and never win at all.
I have two things to say to that. Number one, I just want to go back to I just want to go back really quick to what you were saying about actually, okay, I'm going to just comment on what you said about gambling and getting that success. Funny that you say that, because you and I the other day were on a hike and I explained to you that I've read 2 separate books that talk about people living in the gray area. And a quote that I had read to you from Theodore Roosevelt talks about the person in the arena. And the person in the arena is basically that person that puts themselves out there. And the critic doesn't matter. So what I mean by that is, like, when you say that you're willing to take that risk, because potentially you can get a reward or you could fail, but you're still willing to put yourself out there. The people that live in that middle, that don't go left or don't go right, those are the people that it's so easy for them to be like, I can't believe you did that. Those people that live in that gray area, it's so easy for that person to like point the finger and say, you're an idiot, or I can't, or like, wow, you're amazing, because they've never risked anything to say, I know what that feels like. So it's easy for them to judge. And the level of self-awareness that it takes for you to say, fuck it, I'm going to put myself out there. That shit is like, self-awareness is a skill that is practiced. Like,
yes.
It's not something, it's
you don't
literally
wake up
not,
one day
not
and just
everybody
have
has
it.
It's almost like common sense, right? But you and I, we were talking about this on the hike, and I was saying to you that, like, I'm so in awe of you at times, because you talk about these experiences that you have in your life and how you had these aha moments, and I'm just like, how the fuck did you do that at such a young age, or like this point in your life? And I just feel like you would take these failures and you would turn them into something, and that's how you became more self-aware. When there are so many fucking people that are not willing to do that,
right?
Because they're afraid of what people are going to say about them when they fail or they succeed.
Right. So what we were actually, so in a little bit more detail, so what we were talking about, right? We were having this conversation and we were talking about, living your truth, right? We were talking about living your truth. And when I mean by living your truth is by experiencing something that may be traumatic in your life and doing one of two things. Some people, they bury it. It's a traumatic experience. They don't ever want to talk about it. They bury it and they just, that's it. They hide it, right? and they carry on their lives acting like it never happened. And then you have people who own that truth, right? They it becomes part of them, and then when they look in the mirror, they accept themselves as this is part of their lives, and they own it, and they almost deal with it and then move on with it.
And you were that person.
That was me as a person.
And I was the other person.
Right, and you were the person that when these traumatic experiences happened, you boxed them up.
Yeah.
You put them aside.
They went in Pandora's box.
Right, they went in Pandora's box, and you just carried on about your life like they never happened. And so, when you own these truths, you learn a lot about yourself. When you sit back and you reflect on these moments that they have, the way they were traumatic to you, you learn a lot about your life.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot about yourself and how these things made you feel. When you don't do that, there's this experience about yourself that you're denying yourself, and you all of a sudden start building a life that is not real because there's a whole part of you that you don't even know.
Yeah, because you have not processed that part of who you are.
Right. There's a whole part of your life that you have not accepted.
Yeah.
As you know, and you have not found peace with. So therefore, you're actually living a false life per se.
Yeah.
You the way you see yourself in the mirror is not really who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's even worse when you come into contact with other people. But I read another book about this from Jonathan Haidt, which it's called The Happiness Hypothesis, and he talks about it in the form of the elephant and the rider. People out in the world only ever see my elephant. They never see me, the rider. But I just want to go back to the second thing the first thing that I wanted to say, because the second thing that I wanted to say was what I said about the people who live in the gray area. So remember how I said earlier that when you are friends with the opposite sex, that it makes me sad that relationship is potentially not 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
Why I said that makes me sad is because there are things that you can learn from being friends with the opposite sex that you would not know being friends with the same sex. And I'm going to tell you something that I learned being friends with the opposite sex. Men will cheat whether they're happy or they're not happy. But what that made me understand on a bigger picture was whether you are male or female, whether you are happy or sad, if you are going to engage in something outside of your relationship, whether it be sexual, whether it be because there are other forms of cheating, you know, maybe you've developed some sort of emotional connection to another person, does not matter the type of person that is on the other end of your relationship. You could be the best guy, you could be the worst guy, you could be the best girl, you could be the worst girl. You cannot control another person's actions. A person is going to do what they want to do. So when you say to me that you're going to be the exception to the rule, the level of self-awareness in that, Evo, is mind-blowing to me, because so many other men will look at it on the other end and they think if they're like a little bit jealous, if they're like a little bit controlling, that it's going to stop the girl from doing things that he doesn't want her to do. When in actuality, whether it be man or woman, they're going to do whatever the fuck they want.
Well, you know what's funny, right? Is that to some extent, in some cases, it works. You know, a man can be controlling over a woman to the point where she's, you know, he's going to keep her from doing these things that he, quote unquote, is afraid of her doing. But, you know, that is a recipe for disaster in the long run.
Of course, because that in actuality, that's like a form of abuse.
It is, call it abuse. I would like to see it as life in a cage. You know, because the person that this is happening to, there's bars that are set around them that they cannot go past.
You mean the person that's being controlled?
The person that's being controlled, yes. Okay. They're kind of put in a cage. Mm-hmm. They can only live life within these boundaries. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody should be put in a cage. I mean, I think that respectfully, if I tell you I don't like something, I would think that you would respect that, right?
Correct.
But I'm not going to tell you that you can't do it. You're going to decide for yourself whether you're going to respect my feelings and not do it, or you're not and you are going to do it. And if you don't respect my feelings, then I'm going to have to make a decision whether I want to stay in that situation.
So do you think it's okay for a man to say, I'm not okay with you having male friends? That's something I'm not comfortable with.
I think it is okay for a man to say it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's okay for a man to say, you cannot have male friends. You can't do this. I don't think that that's okay. I mean, if a man generally feels uncomfortable and says, I don't want you having male friends. If the girl says, okay.
I think there's a different... I'm saying it differently. You're saying, I don't want you. I'm saying, is it okay for a man to say, I'm not comfortable with you having... Because, again, the word want for me is like one of those... That's like that's like allow. That's like want. That's basically you saying, I don't want you to do this. So when you say, I don't want you to have male friends, it's not you saying that it makes you uncomfortable. It's you saying, I don't want that. I don't want you to do that.
But no, it's not, because it's the same as, like, you're telling me you're okay. And I'm not saying you per se. I'm saying that. So the guy in this situation is basically being told that he has to accept the girl that he's dating being friends with multiple men. I don't want that. Like, the girl is giving the guy something that he doesn't want. So why is it not okay for him to say I don't want that?
Okay. Maybe you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. If a man says, I don't want that for me.
Yeah.
But what you said was, I don't want you to have male friends.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's the verbiage is really kind of technical here. But
yeah, that kind of falls in line with me to the allow thing.
Yeah, no, all right, I get what you're saying. So, yes, I think it's okay for a man to say, I'm not comfortable with you dating or you seeing or having multiple male friends. It's very much okay.
Because I think if a man or woman in this case is comfortable saying, I have insecurities, and my insecurities are heightened if you have male friends, or if you have female friends, like whatever, vice versa. I do think that the person on the opposite end of that should be okay understanding that their significant other at that time is expressing to them that they have an insecurity that maybe that they're still processing, and them being friends with the opposite sex may be triggering for them.
Yeah.
But I think if you're not having these open and honest conversations, and you're just telling the opposite sex, you can't do that, or I won't allow you, nah, fam, you could go ahead.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, there's many girls out there, women, girls, that they just roll over, and men will exploit that.
Okay, I'm gonna read a comment, and Melissa says, hi, but should your insecurity stop her from having good relationships with the opposite sex?
Absolutely not. And so that's why I'm gonna reflect back to what I was saying. It all starts with the person in the mirror, in particular, in this case in point, the man, right? It all starts with the man in the mirror. A man, and I'm speaking for myself, and is I made sure that I was secure within myself. I made sure that rather than being secure, I'm going to be confident. I'm going to come in guns blazing, stepping with the best foot forward. And if it ain't enough, then she's not the one.
I do think, though, at that, if that's a pivotal moment in your relationship, I do think that a woman has the choice to say, okay, I respect your insecurities. Sadly, because maybe she really likes you, sadly, that doesn't work for me. I enjoy having these male friends, and these have been my friends, or whatever the case may be. She then has the opportunity to say, I don't think that we should date then. Because if then she's not creating her own boundaries.
Right.
And like you said, if she rolls over, then in turn, what's going to happen is that in the end, she's not going to be happy.
Well, that's that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Correct.
In the long run, where you have a man who's controlling and a woman who is passive to the man being controlling.
By the way, it is 10 to 9. How the fuck did we talk about this for 50 minutes?
Wow.
I have absolutely no fucking clue. Because the amount of times that Evo and I are like, can we talk about this for that long?
We always ask ourselves that when we're coming up with the topics.
And we didn't even talk about friends with benefits yet.
We didn't even talk about friends with benefits.
All right, so fuck it.
I don't even feel like that we even got into the whole like sex drive thing that we were talking about
But okay, fuck it. Let's just roll right into friends with benefits.
All right.
So let's say that you are friends with the opposite sex, and then one of you decides, fuck it, I want to take it there, and now you become friends with benefits, or you enter into that junction as friends with benefits. I want to know, do you actually feel like in the long term, is friends with benefits actually something that's sustainable?
Yes. If it's done the right way.
So interesting that you say yes. Tell me why you say yes.
Okay, so.
Go ahead. Just tell me why you say yes, because.
Why do I think friends with benefits is sustainable in the long run?
Mm-hmm.
I think anything. So I feel like friends with benefits it's kind of like playing a game.
Okay.
Right? And I think that as long as you play by the rules, the game can be very long lasting. So I feel like friends with benefits kind of gets fucked up when you don't stick to the plan.
Okay.
So I hope that answers your question.
I 3,000% agree with you. Yes, there should be rules that are laid down with friends with benefits. But I'm going to tell you why I find it so interesting that you immediately were like, yes. Because when we talked about being friends platonically or between male and female, you immediately said no, that it's not possible between man and woman because men are always seeking the opportunity of sex.
Yes.
Okay. So friends with benefits will always work for men because friends with benefits will always, at the end of it, give a man what he's always looking for, which is sex. So that's why in a man's eyes, it will always work for him. Because the opportunity, and the reason why I say yes is because I looked into research on this. It is research that has been done on a social aspect of, do friends with benefits actually work? And from a male perspective, it's always beneficial for a male. I'm going to tell you when it doesn't work. Based on the research that I read, it doesn't necessarily always work for the woman. Because a lot of the times, not all the time, when a woman opens herself to a man sexually, there becomes this emotional attachment. That a woman necessarily doesn't go into it immediately thinking that that's what's going to happen. But then they develop this level of intimacy that a man is able to separate because his initial thing was, I'm just in it for the sex. But the girl initially maybe also go into it for sex, but then there may be this level that they reach intimately and passionately that opens that more dormant, romantic, more, just more womanly side that a man does not possess because a man has testosterone.
And women have estrogen, which makes them more emotional.
I don't want to say it makes us more emotional. That's not the right verbiage in my perspective.
I believe that as beings, as just beings, that women are more emotional than men.
No, I think men are taught to be less emotional. And I think women their emotions are embraced.
I feel like that women are more in tune with themselves which it takes a lot of emotion to do so, and men are not. Men are very outwardly projected beings, and so therefore it almost makes them emotionless.
It's because men are taught to be like that.
I don't even think that. I just feel like it's okay. I feel like that's a whole nother thing that we can go on to.
1,000%.
Yeah. So let's definitely let's not go there.
I just want to say real quick that just think about how boys are raised versus how girls are raised. When boys cry, they're told not to cry. A lot of the times, men from very young are taught to not embrace their feelings. They're taught that feelings and emotions are not manly.
Yeah.
So a lot of men grow up not embracing that. Where girls, when they cry and when they hurt themselves, it's like, oh, are you okay? So we are taught from an early age to embrace our emotions. I don't think that our different hormones make us more emotional.
All right. I'm not going to argue that.
But what I will say as a woman is that we do experience different heights and lows of our hormones because we go through a cycle. But I don't think that makes us more emotional. I think that makes us experience different experiences of emotion. Does that make sense?
Listen, that's a whole experience that I have no knowledge of. Okay. So I can't comment on that.
So Melissa says, I agree with Evo. Must stick to the plan always. I think it can work for women to not just men. There are plenty of women that just have no desire to be in a long-term committed relationship, but technically, if the friends with benefit work, it is a sort of relationship. So from the reading that I did, generally friends with benefits can work, but there has to be very detailed guidelines about how they are going to enter in this friends with benefits. That also makes me think about a previous conversation that we had about people who are polyamorous and people who are in open relationships, because friends with benefits is almost kind of the same thing. You are interacting with someone in a sexual relationship, but you create these parameters where you still learn how to function. So like, say for example, you're friends with benefits, right? But then you say, are we friends with benefits, but we're just monogamous sexually to each other? But we're free to date.
Polyamorous, right? You're in a relationship.
I know, but what I'm saying is that there are rules that have to be set, because if you don't, it can get out of hand.
Right, but friends with benefits is very much so just sex.
No. From the reading that I did, friends with benefits also could mean that they hang out. They go out to eat. They watch Netflix.
That's not the reason. That's not what the stuff that I researched just begs to differ.
Have you never been in a friends with benefits relationship?
No.
Okay, I have. And we did things like that. We would watch TV together. We would go out to the movies every now and then.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you where the line got drawn. I never met their parents. They never met my parents. I was a single mom at the time. They never met my children. They never went to family dinners. I never introduced them to like my friends, and we never hung out. But we did things, because remember, it's friends with benefits. So we did things as friends.
Right.
And then the benefit part came sometimes right away, or sometimes it came later. But that didn't mean that we didn't do friend-like things together.
Okay. Yeah, but when I say just sex, what I'm saying is that when it comes to the sex, it's just sex.
But if there's no friend part of it, then they're just a fuck buddy.
No, what I'm saying is that you can be friends, right? But see, it's a very fine line. Like, not a lot of people can walk that line where they can be someone's friend per se, where they're shopping, hanging out, watching movies together, bullshitting, this, that, and the third, spending quality time together, and then having sex, which is an emotional act per se, can be, right? And then not linking those two together, right? So it takes a very particular type of person to be able to do that, to be able to hang out with somebody, get to know them personally, have a relationship with them personally. That's a friend wise, right? It's not a an intimate personal relationship, but physically it is intimate, and still keep those two things separate. That's a very unique individual. Not a lot of people possess the strength to separate those two. So because of that, it is suggested that those things be kept very separate, because they can easily be intertwined by someone who's not emotionally strong. So that's why the research that I found suggests that it's very much so the opposite. Even though I know your experience, it was very different than what I've researched.
But I firmly agree with you. I firmly agree with you that there are many people that don't possess that, I guess, that willpower to say, yeah, I could watch a movie with you, I could hang out with you, we could have sex, and then I could go home and I'm not thinking about you. Type shit.
Like don't get it twisted.
Like you're not calling me, you're not telling me you miss me. Like I get that. I firmly agree with you that is very difficult to do. And I would say that it's very difficult to do even more so as a woman, because as a woman is not as eagerly looking for just random sex, where as you said earlier, that men are consistently looking for that opportunity, because it's not an opportunity that they have provided to them in a sense of like they're in control of it.
Yeah, they don't just wake up and be like, I'm gonna have sex today, and actually they could wake up and say I want to have sex today, but in most cases it's probably not gonna happen unless they have like either a friends with benefits situation or they're in a relationship. You know, if it's just a guy single, it's highly unlikely he's gonna wake up one morning and say I'm gonna have sex.
Well, but a girl can do that.
That, and so that's the difference.
And as a woman, I could honestly say that like there's really not been a time where I've been like, I want to do that.
If all else fails, she can call her best friend, which is a guy,
fuck you, bro.
and still get.
Yo, bro, come through.
Yes, and she'll still get it. If all else fails, that's how. And I don't want to say easy, but that's just how accessible it is to a female. So, very interesting.
But that's why I find it so interesting that you immediately were like, yeah, friends with benefits can work. And then I was just like, can the opposite sex be friends? And you were like, no, that doesn't work.
When I say friends with benefits can work, I say friends with benefits can work because a guy is almost always willing to have sex.
I know. That's why I'm telling you. I just find it so interesting how immediately you were like, yes. And when you were like, no.
And because a guy is always willing to just have sex, and it not have no strings attached, because again, a guy is always looking for that. It has that purpose to ejaculate, right? If he can find someone that can serve that purpose, that's like a fucking match made in heaven for a guy, pretty much. Yeah. You know, no emotional commitment, still servicing this need that a guy has without any other work behind it. That's fucking heaven for most guys. Now, if the girl really like sticks to these rules where she's like, yeah, I'm getting the same benefit out of it, right? But she has to be the one to really sever the emotional tie, then it becomes something that really works, right? Because the guy is going to just continually show up, you know, unless he's just a guy that all of a sudden starts having different types of feelings. Something happened along the line where, you know, now all of a sudden he's looking at her differently and maybe wants to take things to a different level. If that happened, then that's on that guy. But in most cases, the guy is going to most certainly always want to he'll be willing to show up, have sex, and move on. I think it's, you know, the female that really has to like just draw that line. And I think that if you have a strong female that's drawing that line and the guy that's always willing to show up.
I'm sorry, I want to just stop you real quick. I find it so interesting how you consistently intertwine female and guy. Why don't you say woman and man? Or why don't you say girl and guy?
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where you said, like, you know, guys are programmed to do certain things. I guess I've just been programmed to say it that way.
It's so irritating to me because you're using how women are referred to as a sex and not a person.
Okay.
So you're saying like female and then you say guy. So like, why don't you say female and then male?
Would it make you more comfortable if I said it that way?
No, but I'm just trying to understand your like your logic behind that.
I don't really have a logic. I just like I said, I guess it's just the way that I've been programmed to say it. But what would make you more comfortable?
If you just address each individual.
So either I say male or female or guy or girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like I just don't understand why you're doing it in the opposite direction?
No real reason.
Okay.
No real reason.
I
know what? So
yeah.
Now if I had to sit here and think about it, right? I feel like that growing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you address a girl as a female,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like you're putting kind of like respect on it. Like, for example, right. So if a guy was like, checking a guy on, like, if a guy was acting a certain way towards a girl,
Mm-hmm.
a guy might say like, yo, dog, that's a female, bro. Like, that's not a girl. Like, that's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not young and immature. That's a female. Or, in other cases, that's a woman. Right. But I particularly have many memories of, like, having maybe to, like, talk to someone. And I really have to point out to them, like, yo, that's a female. Like, what are you doing? And it's almost like putting a level of respect on that. So I guess, and I've never really thought about it. I'm just sitting here kind of putting thought to it now.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking that may be why I'm saying it that way. And I'm speaking to that in that way. And when I'm just not saying like, a girl or a woman, because, for a large part of my life, it was, you address either she was a girl or that, like that's a female, like.
I personally think that verbiage comes from the street. And
well, yeah, I mean, I spent a decent part of my life in the streets.
Yeah, and I honestly, in my opinion, it's not a level of respect. It's actually like a level of disrespect.
In the streets, you're not verbally disrespecting a woman by calling her a female.
There are a lot of times that you are.
None that I've experienced. Maybe
yeah,
give me
like
an
a lot of times men will say things like, "Yo, these fucking females be like," they use that as a way of like degrading a woman.
I kind of feel like that just goes on. Yo, these fucking bitches, like these fucking females. Like I've
heard that a lot.
All right.
And as a woman,
we're gonna agree to disagree on that one. I don't think that's something that like I've experienced men saying where they're just like, "Yo, these fucking females." Like,
well, I guess what I can.
Fuck. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay. I guess what I can say is that like any woman is not going to be preferred to be called a female.
I get that. I understand what you're saying, and
like,
I identify what you're saying. And again, I didn't really realize that I was saying it or even why I say it. But now that you're telling me,
I just feel like female refers to my sex and not my gender.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah. Okay. Damn. But there was so there was something that I was gonna say, and then we'll move to our top 5 for tonight. So when we were talking about friends with benefits, I have a very distinct memory that I just like wanted to share. That I found so interesting, because remember I was telling you that there are people that could be friends with benefits, that they could do things like go to the movies, go out to eat, have sex, and they go home.
Mm-hmm.
I had one of those situations exactly. But something that I found so interesting about that particular interaction is that because I was like that with that person misconstrued those interactions as me liking them more than just friends with benefits. And they ended our relationship because they thought that because I like to go to the movies with them, and because I like to have dinner with them, and because I like to watch TV with them, that I was in love with them, even though I never alluded to it, even though I never said. They thought because I was functioning like that with them, that I was in love with them, and that we were no longer friends with benefits. And I will never forget that phone call, because my immediate reaction was laughter. Because for one of the first times in my life, I was like, wow, you're taking my kindness for a weakness. You think because I'm being nice to you, because I'm just hanging out with you, like how I would my girlfriends. I go out to dinner with my girlfriends. I watch TV with my girlfriends. I go to the movies with my girlfriends. And you think because I'm doing these things with you, I'm in love with you? That just made me realize that men sometimes can really have this like they have this really like false perception of what things are. Mm-hmm. And in the research that I read, that a lot of men will think that a little inkling of like maybe interest that a woman may give to a man when they're friends, like, oh my God, you look so nice today, they're immediately like, she want to fuck me. And that was my first time experiencing that. And I was just like,
Right.
wow, I can't believe that this guy thinks because we went and watched some whatever the fuck the movie was, and I said, hey, had a great time, see you in a week or whatever the fuck it was, that I was in love with you. But I think the best part of that whole story was, I think maybe like anywhere from 3 to 5 years later, I don't remember the exact timeline, I bumped into that person. And that person was like, hey, I'm so happy that I bumped into you. I just want to tell you what a learning experience was that for me. And I was like, what do you mean? And this person was like, I was so immature. I was so threatened by your stance as a woman, your ability to have sex with me and casually just hang out with me was so confusing to me, because I was so used to a woman thinking, or I was so used to thinking that a woman needed me. And because you didn't need me for shit, I thought that like I was confused, like you were in love with me, like and I was like, wait, what do you mean? And this guy was like, I'm so used to girls being like, can you take me here? Can you do this for me? I need money to get my nails done, or let's go have dinner, or take me out, tell me that I'm pretty. But he was like, you were just so nice to me. So I immediately thought that like you were in love with me.
So here's
what?
Here's some interesting information, right? So when a guy meets a girl, he's attracted to her, and his attraction naturally leads to him wanting to have sex with her.
Okay.
Right? But he really truly does not know how he feels about her until after he has sex with her.
You've said this before.
Right?
And
so,
it kind of blows my mind.
Right? So, understand this, right? So now you have a guy who's attracted to a girl. And so the things that he's doing, as far as like, let's go out to eat, let's go out to a movie, they're all pretty much leading up to like hoping to have sex, right?
Okay.
Once they have sex, that's when he truly understands how he feels about the girl. Either they have sex and he's like, yeah, I don't really like this girl. Or he's like, yo, I like this girl. And that whole act continues, right?
Okay, so let me stop
Hold
you
on.
right there. Wait, I need to stop you. What about the sex immediately creates that difference?
It's just so there's this moment where a guy finds out whether everything he was doing was just to have sex with her, or now that the sex is gone, now that the sex is out of the way, there's still something there.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, but initially it's the sex that has to get out the way in order for the guy to really find out how he feels. So before you have sex, you have a guy making all of these initiatives and these actions, compliments. Let's go out to eat. Let's hang out. Let's do this, right? Before sex. Making all of these efforts to lead up to sex. And then once sex happens, then he figures out what happens. Now you have a girl, doesn't need sex. Can hang out, can joke, can laugh, can compliment, can talk. All of the things that a guy that identifies that he needs to do to lead up to sex. And so when a girl is doing it, he doesn't identify it as her just doing it. He can only identify it as like, oh, those are the things that I do when I want to lead up to sex. So she must like me. She must want to do something with me, because that's all a guy knows is why would a girl be acting this way with me if she doesn't want to have sex with me? Because that's how a man acts with a girl.
But we were intimate.
Okay.
So but that's why I was so confused, because like we were intimate, but we were still hanging out. And then this person misconstrued my niceness.
Right.
Or my kindness to me being in love with them.
Right. So
I was just
it kind of seems that.
What?
Right. So it kind of seems that after you guys had sex, he liked you.
Oh.
And so there was no, to him, he moved on to like, oh, this is nice. I'm enjoying this. And you were very much so like, nah, this is just what it is.
Yeah, because you're right. Because he did tell me that he was very intimidated by me.
Yeah.
He was like, you didn't need. Now I get it. he was like, I'm so used to girls needing stuff from me. He goes, you didn't need anything from me. You had your own place. You had your own car. You had a good job. Like, when we did these things together, a lot of the times he would pay, I would pay. Like, it was literally just like, I was treating him like a friend, like my guy. We're going to go to the movies. I'm going to pay for popcorn. You could buy the tickets. Like, because I was just enjoying your company, but like, did not want you to be my boyfriend because I did not want a boyfriend at that time. I just literally was so focused on my career at the time. I was so focused on making money. I did not want a boyfriend, but I wanted somebody that I could enjoy time with. But what wound up happening was this person actually treated me poorly sometimes. And I think this person was trying to assert their dominance. But in the end, I wind up being the person that came out, I guess, on top, was because when this person then said to me, I thought you fell in love with me. God forgive me, but I laughed. I was just like, I'm sorry, what? You think I'm in love with you? I was like, my guy, have a good night. Because you're fucking mental right now. Like, that is definitely not. By the way, I also learned that, like, kids from our time do this and kids from this time, they do this.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
So I was like, my guy, have a nice night because I'm surely not in love with you and you're lost because I just like going to the movies with you, but fine. But anyway, that's what that made me think of when you said that, like, about like how like guys look for things and like girls look for and I was just like, funny you say that because at one time I was like that person and this guy like thought that it was more than what it really
guys
was.
So just to clarify things, guys will take the initiative to court a girl to eventually have sex. And once they have sex, if there's something still there after sex, they will continue that energy to develop a relationship, right? And if it's not there, then they're out and they don't want nothing to do with it, right? And so when you have a girl who is doing that and having sex is foreign, it's almost alien to a guy. And so that's why you had this dynamic where this guy was like, I think she loves me. Like, because they don't understand that. They don't understand putting all this energy into just hanging out, like mixing, having a good time and, you know, just making the best of the moment and having sex. Like to a guy, that's a relationship. So, wow, really?
Yeah.
Are we getting spam right now?
No, you know what's so funny to me?
I love it.
You know what's so funny to me? When people spam us like that, I'm like, thank you.
No, yeah, this is the first time we've actually had spammers. Yo, like we've graduated to spammers, Gina.
Yo, jerk off to me,
bro.
we
have graduated to spammers.
Melissa says
we leveled up.
So Melissa says, do they or you separate hookups with others? So she's basically asking, like, if you're friends with benefits, you separate. And I said to you earlier that those sometimes are the terms. That if you're friends with benefits, you will then say, part of our agreement of being friends with benefits is that we are monogamous sexually. So, like, we are not in a relationship, but because to be safe, we're only having sex with each other.
So
until one of us then says, I'm not saying that this is always the case, but this is the case sometimes, that a man and a woman will agree that they will only be sexual with each other, but they're not in a relationship. Because I, again, can say that that is an experience that I had. That I was monogamous with the person, but me and this person were not in a relationship. Wow. And we both did not want relationships, but we also didn't want to be promiscuous.
Yeah, I have something to say about that, but it belongs to the top 5.
Okay, so
is there any way can you block this dude right here?
Yeah, it's gone.
Oh, it's gone. Okay.
Yeah, it's gone. Right. That was that person's gone. So why don't you get into the top 5? Because Evo, I apologize, but
it's all right.
I have only left you 11 minutes.
11 minutes. All right. Well, this top 5.
Well, it was not just me, because honestly, we had a great conversation. And I really enjoyed our conversation tonight.
Absolutely.
I always find it so funny when I'm just like,
what
can
time
we talk
is it?
about this?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's 45 minutes later. But go ahead.
So tonight's top 5 is things that you do not do in a friends with benefits relationship.
Yikes.
Right?
Don't call the girl and tell her that you love them.
Wait, but so before we get into this, I just want to let's just get this one more comment.
Okay,
Melissa,
so Melissa
says what?
So to some, that may seem like you want them and only them. They may feel like you have feelings for them. Oh, God. Melissa, I would agree with you. I also feel like these people are... that just sounds sticky to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo, listen, I'm just trying to fuck. But, like, can we just only fuck each other because I'm not trying to get an STD?
Yeah.
Like, let's keep it real.
Right. So, we're going to get into that in a minute. All right. So,
like, come on.
Coming in at number 5, right?
You know why? Because I know. Right. I'm looking at Evil's list, and the way that he numbered them, I love this man.
Off the hook, right? So, coming in at number 5 is things that you do not do in a friends with benefit relationship is expect bells and whistles.
Explain, please.
So, what I mean is that when you're in a friends with benefit relationship,
what?
A friends with benefits relationship.
Uh-huh.
Did I fuck that up?
No, I guess because you're saying it so fast, it sounds like the friends with benefits is one word. But say it again for me.
Right. So when you're in a friends with benefits relationship, all right, don't expect bells and whistles. Like, it's just sex. There's no romance. There's no long conversations after sex. Like, that is the essence of friends with benefit. The benefit is that you're able to have sex, right? But it's just friends. So friends don't have conversations in bed together. Friends, right?
Because I would say friends have long conversations.
Yes, but they don't do it in bed together. Yeah, you're right. Friends, friends don't technically have sex.
Correct.
Right. So
Correct.
If you are friends with benefits, then you have to keep the benefits strictly a benefit and keep all that other bullshit out of it.
You know, now that I think about it, me and my friends have had very long conversations in bed.
Right, but not
after sex.
Not after sex.
Yeah, I know.
Right. That's the thing.
Yeah, that is. I never actually thought about it like that.
Yes.
For sure, I never thought about it like that, Evo. I was just like,
big don't.
We friends?
Yeah, big don't in the friends with benefits relationship.
Don't roll over and be like, so what did you think about my outfit today?
Yeah, right?
No.
Right?
Don't do that, my guy.
Exactly. So what do you want? What are you doing later? You want to hang out? Like, no. I'm actually
gonna. I actually need you to leave now because I need to go to sleep because I need to go to work tomorrow, and I'm gonna eat a grilled cheese when you leave.
It's a mutual thing. As soon as we nut, we bust. Like, we out.
Yo. I'm gonna tell you right now, because I had a friends with benefits relationship. Literally, I would be like, so hey, that was great. You going home now? Like, I'm hungry. I'm not trying to, because you know I don't like to share my food. Can you go now so I can eat my food in peace by myself?
Yeah, for real.
Goodbye.
I'm ashamed that I'm like I can say that I've never had a friends with benefits.
Why are you ashamed, Evo? You have also done things that I've never done. So can this be my shining moment for the one time?
I'm gonna let you live
because you've had.
I'm gonna let you live. Yes.
Yeah, you've had, and we've talked about something like before. Evo has had threesomes, and he's also had one night stands.
I've had foursomes too.
Wow. And Evo just looked at his ring like,
You know what though? But that was like an aha moment because after all that. Like, that was all meaningless.
Okay. I'm just saying to you, I have never done either. I have never done any of those things. I've never had a foursome, a threesome. I've never had a one night stand. That is not in my
wheelhouse
repertoire.
It's not in your wheelhouse
of sex. But I definitely have had friends with benefits.
Yeah.
And when I tell you that I was so focused on what I wanted at that time that I was just like, I know you're like a little sleepy, but like I need you to get the fuck out right now. Because my alcohol wore off and I want to eat this pizza by myself. Goodbye. But I may call you tomorrow and ask you if you want to go to the movies. Go ahead.
And that's an interesting dynamic. But so coming in at number 3, what are we laughing at here?
Because Melissa says me and Jay have had conversations in bed together.
Yeah, of course you had. But
Not after sex.
Not after sex. So let's
So
go
go on. So go
let's
on
keep
to
it on point. Let's keep it on
number
topic.
4. You mean?
Yes, keep coming in at number 4 is things that you do not do in a relationship that's friends with benefits is bring it out of the bedroom.
Okay, explain.
And what I mean by that is that whatever you do in the bedroom stays in the bedroom. You don't afterwards when you're hanging out or you see each other in public, little winky, touchy hands.
Oh wow, really?
Yes, because that makes it now it's beyond the benefit. Again, the point of friends with benefits is just the benefit of having sex, and that's it. This is why friends with benefits works when you stick to the rules. When you're not, when you're seeing each other and you're outside and like you got to keep the benefits in check. We're just friends. When I see friends, when they see each other, there's no butt squeezing when I see you in public. There's no flirting.
Okay.
Right? There's no me sniffing on your neck, smelling your hair. There's no me coming up behind you and rubbing up on you. Friends don't do that.
I'm mad right now. I'm like, what you mean you want to squeeze my butt?
Right? Because friends don't do that. Right? So what goes on in the bedroom stays in the bedroom.
I don't like that.
This is hardcore friends with
because
benefits.
In my mind, I'm like, if we're friends with benefits and we're having sex, like I want some foreplay. And I want that foreplay to be potentially outside of the bedroom.
But again, now you're publicizing things.
Correct. But that doesn't mean that I'm always publicizing.
But you can be, though. You kind of potentially are because you're in public doing things that friends would not do. So you're not really friends with benefits. You're dancing that fine line of what a relationship is.
Correct.
Of what two people, So that's why I don't feel like you had a friends with benefits relationship. I feel like you had more than that, right? Wait, I'm looking at Optimistically Cynical right now because I just love this dude's comments, right? He says, I have a friend who offers vision and dental.
Optimistically Cynical, welcome to the stream.
Never
and give me
fails,
that
my
friend's
brother.
phone number.
Right? Never fails.
Melissa said, I smell Jay's hair.
Yes, you do. You know, Melissa.
Listen,
only you.
But let's keep it real. You and Melissa are the real friends in this room, right?
Yep, for real.
I'm like, I've taken a back seat.
That's my dog right there.
Yeah, that's your dog. But guess what?
Dog.
Me and Melissa taking shit to the grave.
I know. Y'all go way back. So
I think about that Kevin Hart skit where he's just like, if you my friend, help me. Help
He's
me.
like, you mean that girl with the fat ass? No.
He's like, I just give you that look like.
Yup.
Yeah. So let's move on to number 3.
All right. Coming in at number 3. All right. Things you do not do in a friends with benefit relationship is cuddling.
Oh.
There will be no cuddling in the bedroom after sex.
I would confer on that. There's
because
none of that.
That right there, that is like that's sealing the deal.
Yeah.
Right?
You're not cuddling.
After sex, the cuddling is that's like the peanut butter and jelly to the whole situation, you know?
No.
There is none of that.
I firmly agree on that.
You concur?
Yeah. Doctor, do you concur?
You concur?
I concur.
I concur. Right.
That is a no-no. Do not cuddle me. I don't want to talk about our life experiences. I don't want. We're not looking into each other's eyes. We're not holding hands. We're not caressing each other's hair. There is no spooning. No. Look at me, my guy.
Yeah, you got
home.
to go. You got to go. You ain't gotta go home, but you gotta get the hell up out of here.
Like we could chit chat for a second. You know,
like we could chit chat on your way out.
Yeah, like you have a long drive home, or like we could do in the morning. Okay, great. Goodbye.
Yeah. You got to go. And it has to be a mutual agreement. Like there's got to be a mutual respect. Like you bust, I bust, I'm out. Like see ya. All right, and I'll catch you later. Like and that is how you gain longevity in a friends with benefit relationships, by sticking to these rules. Melissa, you know what? You are obviously not built for a friends with benefits relationship. It is clear to me. You smell hair. You want to cuddle. There's all types of shit that you want to do.
Melissa says
you are just not cut. I mean, I'm with you, girl. I've never had one. I've never had a friends with benefits.
No, but Melissa says I don't want to cuddle in a relationship.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. I misread that. I thought it said I want to cuddle.
No,
that's all I saw.
She says she don't want to cuddle in a relationship.
But you do want to smell some hair. Not happening in a friends. A little
bit of a weirdo, but that's fine. That's why I love her.
Yeah.
Your next one, I'm looking at it from across the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, please tell it because
coming in.
Totally agree with that.
And number 2, strong.
Mm-hmm.
Hardcore. This shit got muscles. Things you do not do in a friends with benefits relationship is sleep over.
Yo, my guy. Go home.
Yes, go home. Because if you sleeping over, then it's over. Like the friends with benefits relationship is over. Like that is the clock strikes 12. Cinderella. Mm-hmm. We are going back to reality. All right, this shit is a relationship.
Do you know what I immediately think about? Do you remember the movie Bridesmaids?
Yes.
Where she like makes it where she sleeps over,
mm-hmm.
and she wakes up before he gets up, runs to the bathroom, and fixes herself up and makes believe she's sleeping. He literally turns over and he's like, "Oh, like you're still here?"
Yeah. Exactly.
Like you're a nice girl, but like I need you to go right now.
Yeah. And this is a dangerous thing, right? Because, you know.
You could bust a nut and want to go to sleep.
I mean, you could potentially like come over to your friends with benefits house with some drinks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, get a little drunk, have sex, and pass out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It could happen, but it's not supposed to. All right.
Evo,
stick to the rules.
Your last 2, I will tell you that like I firmly agree with those rules. I'm just like, you not sleeping over. And we not cuddling.
Nope.
You got to go, my guy. Okay? Because I got work in the morning, and I don't want to see your face.
Exit stage left.
Yeah.
All right?
See you later.
See you later.
That brings us to number 1.
Yes.
Whoa, number 1. I can see it again. 1,000% true.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Coming in at number 1, heavy. All right? Like this shit right here, if you are not doing this in a friends with benefits relationship, then you are not in a friends with benefit relationship.
This is literally like a 10 commandment. Like this is the number 1. Yeah. You do not do this.
You do not do this. And that is having unprotected sex.
Yeah.
When you're in a friends with benefits relationship, the last thing you want to do is consummate that skin to skin contact. Oof.
No. That is a no.
Negative.
That is a no.
Nope. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
No.
You do not. The second you take that protection off, you did. Friends with benefits went out the door. You are on some other level shit. You have taken shit to the next level.
Yeah.
So just.
And I could speak as a woman that if you were asking a guy to remove the condom, you were looking for a different connection. You were looking to feel that man. And I understand this as a woman. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's entrapment right there.
Yeah. No, stop.
That's
nice.
entrapment. If you reach down and you pull that shit off the man, you're looking for something more.
I didn't say pull off. If you ask a man to engage in sex with you without protection, I'm not saying
that to me one time.
That's to me that's a violation of a man's body. Yeah. If a man is putting on a condom to protect himself and you sexually and you try to remove the condom, that's a violation of a man's body.
She was trying to make me feel her in a way that I didn't want to, that she wanted me to.
I understand that, but again, to me that is a forced thing. That is violating a man's body.
That shit ended right then and there, yo. I'm talking about, you want to talk like literally like she might as well have reached up on a fucking high speed train and pulled that fucking red lever, because that shit came to a screeching halt. I got up and I was fucking out. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, no, I firmly agree that unprotected sex will definitely take you out of the friends with benefits zone, because that is another level of intimacy beyond sex, because now you are feeling a person like in their rawness. That's why they call it raw. And for a woman, and as a woman, and then we'll end it here, you are then opening yourself to a multitude of things.
Oh yeah.
number one, you're opening yourself to feeling a man in a way where you now think that because you've allowed him into your body without protection, that you're connected in that way. Number two, you're opening yourself up to, like Melissa says, yuck babies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's a huge no-no. Because if you're just trying to fuck and just trying to have friends with benefits, babies should not be part of the equation. And number three, you potentially open yourself to get something that maybe you haven't made the stipulation of you're monogamous. That's definitely a no-no. So your top five, I agree with the 1, 2, and 3. The last two, I'm just kind of like.
Listen, I gotta come in easy.
I know.
That's how I do my top five.
I get it. And Eva, I love your top five. But tonight, I'm actually glad that we didn't steer away from this because I 1,000% agree with this. But it actually brings us to the end of our live for tonight. We're a couple of minutes over, and you know how I feel about going over on time, Evo. I have like weird feelings about it, only because I'm the one that curates our live for us. So when I have to rewatch it and it's over an hour and 30 minutes, I'm not a happy camper.
Not feeling it.
So next Friday,
we will not be here.
We will not be here because we will be in motherfucking Disney.
We will be on vacation.
Yeah, we will not be here with you next Friday, sadly. But we will, maybe we'll do some live streaming from Disney because a lot of people do live streaming from Disney, and I find it so interesting. But we will be here with you the following Friday, which we may have a different guest with us that Friday. But I don't know if I'm not going to be present or Evo's not going to be present. We're going to mix it up a little bit. But until, not the next Friday, but the following Friday. Peace out.